You've made it to Friday, Junior. It is the best day of the week. But to me, every week is the best week. Welcome back to Here My Take. I'm so glad that you are here with me. It's your weekly digital show. My name is Joy Tribble. And if this is your first time coming, thank you for being here. I'm so happy you're here. A lot of stuff happens on this show. But first and foremost, I need you to do me a favor. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Let's talk back to the algorithm, all right? We want the algorithm to know that you want to see me, and I certainly want to see you. So make sure you go ahead and do those things. Also, follow me on all social media at Hear My Take _. That's what it is. At Hear My Take _. And that's on all social assets. So typically what we do when we get together, right? I talk, and I talk a lot. And I talk about whatever tickles my fancy. I talk about what cooks my grits. Most of all, I want to have fun, but I want to make sure that you are informed, that you are knowledgeable, so that you know what's going on in our country, intercontinentally, and then, of course, internationally as well, all right? This week, though, y'all, we gonna have to really talk. Let's get ready, okay? I need you to get your notebook. You got a notebook handy? I got one handy. All right? I got a little one handy. Get your notebook, because we got some work to do, okay? Life is moving really quickly. And so as we are becoming more and more aware as to what is going on in the world, I need to know something. I want to know, how prepared are you? And when I mean by how prepared are you, I mean how prepared are you, and are you fully prepared? And what that means is, you know, our entire news cycle, all right, has been littered with just about any and everything as it relates to New York City. For one, there was just an attack there recently, bombing a protest. This is right outside of Mayor Mamdani's home. The attackers there said that they wanted it to be an attack bigger than the Boston Marathon. That is really scary. Also, there are ICE agents that have now moved into Vermont. Don't know if you've seen any news about that, but sort of like what was going on in Minnesota, ICE agents have moved into Vermont, causing a disturbance with everybody there. Folks are being slammed on the ground as being observers of ICE's behavior. So that is stirring up uncertainty, and it's really, really scary as to what American citizens are experiencing on our own homeland. Also today in Detroit, the synagogue, where a man rammed his vehicle into the temple. Found out later, investigators discovered that he was fully armed with rifles, said that he wanted this incident to be similar to Fort Hood in Texas. If you're not familiar with the Fort Hood incident, go check it out online. Of course, the war in Iran. I mean, nobody, feels that this is, well, let me correct myself. Some people feel that this is necessary because they want to get rid of the Ayatollah, and they don't want Iran to have, missiles and nukes and all of these things. And while I understand the U.S.'s position on not having a foreign adversary with that type of nuclear power, I get it. I think where a lot of people are challenged is, one, we were told that we weren't going to go to war, that this would be an administration full of peace. We certainly already have foreign adversaries that are working against us currently already. And I'm not talking about Iran. I'm talking about other foreign adversaries, but we seem to only be focusing on Iran. I've talked about this in my previous episode last week. So go take a listen to that, and you can kind of see what I walk you through and understanding what that is all about. However, we are here dealing with the effects. Lost 7 service members. Those young ladies over in Iran, 160 schoolgirls, children were killed. This is calamity, and this is a lot for our psyche. And then, of course, we know gas prices right now have hit $100 a barrel. A Ben Franklin. Okay, a big face 100. Okay, is how much gas is currently right now. Well, I'll tell you that in a little bit, but yes, gas is up. And so, having said all of this, right, and dealing with what we are dealing with, having to confront the things that we're having to confront, a lot of it is without our consent. There has been no congressional oversight as it relates to this war. What I want to know is, what would you do if there was a major adversarial attack on our homeland that takes out our power grid, our water supply, and anything that is relative to our normal behavior in life? What would you do? How prepared would you be? Have you even thought about that? Would you be able to respond? Would you be able to protect your family? Would you be able to protect your friends? What would you do? Have you thought about this? Because it feels like, to be very honest, we're sitting ducks. Hate to feel that way, but it's hard to ignore when we're seeing all of the things that are going on around the world. Because here's the deal. Every bullet gets hit in the mouth once or 5 times at least. Now, you might not take the bully out, but you darn sure put a dent on, you shook that bully, okay? Right now, in my humble opinion, as much as we like to tout being the heroes and we're coming to save the day, the United States operates as a bully, especially when you think about people that are, in other parts of the world. So I wanted to bring to our attention, have we considered what it would take to prepare ourselves? So I dated a guy, this is when I was in my early to mid 30s. Hello. So it's been a little while, but we maintain contact. And 2 or 3 years ago or so now, we were just chatting and I asked him what he was doing. And he was a guy that was in the military. He was in the Special Forces unit. And so we had a conversation. And at that time, actually, it was about what was going on in the country, sort of what the direction was, all the things, right? And so he mentioned to me at the time that he was a trainer for a wilderness training course, teaching people how to prepare and to survive in the woods, or just basic survival skills, right? And it's to prepare people, for being off the grid for, an extended or a certain amount of time. And so let me just keep it real. Honestly, okay, I thought it was kind of cool, but I hadn't really put a lot of thought into it. Because to be honest, I didn't really think it was like super necessary. I said to him, I was like, why are you in the woods? I know. That's silly. My naivete, right? Because I even said to him, I was like, you acting like the world is about to end. To me, it was just giving very much doomsday conspiratorial, right? And I was just like, I get it, but that's a little strange. It's a little early. Like, it's not time for that. And he said to me, very matter-of-factly, he said, Joy, we're not going to be here within the next 5 years. I was like, what? Wait, right? Wait, what you mean we're not going to be here in the next 5 years? He said, we are getting ready to enter. Mind you, this was a couple of years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, probably maybe right after COVID, somewhere in there between. So what's that been, 5 years? Okay, so 2 or 3 years ago, okay? And he was emphatic about it. He was like, we're not going to be here in the next 5 years. And I'm like, what do you mean not be here? He said, let me ask you a question. He said, how are you preparing yourself? He said, do you have a bug out bag? I didn't even know what that was. He said, can you leave your house in a moment's notice with enough to survive for a minimum of 72 hours? Right? And I'm going to be honest with y'all. I sat there on the phone like this. I hadn't even thought about it to that extent, right? And to him, he was like, you're not ready. And you're going to be looking silly when the situation comes, because it's coming and you're not going to be ready. And so I didn't think he was crazy. I just, what arrested me in that moment, which caused me to kind of sit quietly looking kind of goofy, was it was the 5-year timeline that he mentioned that made me question him. And I was like, 5 years? Like, the way that the world moves now, 5 years is like tomorrow, you know? And so fast forward to today. All right. Think about the stuff that's currently going on, the stuff that I just mentioned, the war, the attack in New York, in Vermont, what happened in Minnesota, you know, all of the gas prices, it just feels like something is popping up every single day that is causing us to have to be far more concerned about our safety and also our readiness. And so all of the stuff that was going on, kind of brought his conversation, you know, back into focus to me really, really quickly. So I would like to pose to you, how prepared are you? And so as I'm asking you this question, think about your home, think about your car, think about how well you feel protected. Just start to put thought to that, right? So let's think about some of the small things. For example, all right, if the power grid went out, what would you do? Do you have a viable cooking option? A lot of people say, I got a grill, I got charcoal. Okay, cool. Put some thought to that. What would be your light source? Okay, flashlights, candles, batteries, lanterns, solar powered devices. Do you have those things at home? Packed away, ready to go? Do you have enough water? If you don't live alone and it's you and your husband and your children, would you be ready? Would you be able to survive or just be or be in a better state of readiness, right? And so the other day I had some errands to run, got really busy, had an appointment that I needed to get to. And so I got ready just like normal, jumped in my car just like normal. Bam. 0, nothing. My car, it didn't start. My car is garaged. You know, I keep the oil change. Like, I do all the things, even though I'm a woman, right? I try to keep the maintenance up on my car just because I don't want it to be stuff that I can prevent. So I try to do well with that. Well, clearly my car battery was dead. All right. And so I was up against a tight timeline and I was thinking, oh, Lord Jesus, I don't need this right now, Lord. I gotta go. But then I thought, okay, let me think about my neighbors. Who's home? Can I call somebody? It's middle of the day. My neighbors. Oh, Lord. Okay, who can I call to come over? But the problem is I did not have the time because I had an appointment that I had to get to and to be on time. And so when there was a signal that came up on my car, the digital screen, and I never seen it because I ain't never had a dead battery, not in the car that I have now, and I've had the car for a little bit. And so I'm scrambling, Googling, trying to figure out what this means. Come to find out that the indication meant that I either had a weak or a dead battery, right? Okay, and so then at that point, I went, all right, girl, think. Because initially, I didn't know what was wrong with the car. So I thought, okay, girl, think. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I remembered that I had a portable power bank that I bought, to be honest with you, in tying in that conversation with the guy. And not that I thought about it because of what he and I talked about, but as a woman, when you're out driving and if you're by yourself or whatever and you need to get your car jumped, you know, people have cables, but a lot of people now don't really have cables. You know, folks have roadside assistance and things like that. So we done got real bougie. You know, our uncles and our dads and stuff had jumper cables in the back, okay? So you be like, hey, I need to jump. Come on and jump me, right? Well, we done got bougie, baby. We got EVs, electric cars, like all of those things that were once normal, we may or may not have on hand, right? I've always kept jumper cables in my car, but I wanted something. If there was nobody available, right? What would I do? There was in my case, nobody was at home. I needed this to happen immediately. So what would I do? So I saw this advertisement for this power bank. I thought, you know what, girl, it can't hurt you to have this. So it comes with jumper cables, a tire compressor. I can charge my devices, all the things, right? It's a wonderful little device. And so I remember I had it. It happened to be plugged in. I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. But, you know, when you get a dead battery, sometimes you don't know if that bad boy is going to crank, you know, because I had been at home for a couple of days, all the things, right? Went and grabbed the bank, popped it on my battery. 10 minutes, I was back rocking and rolling, okay? But I thought about that in that moment, and that situation triggered me, reminding me that I need to begin to add, right, to my emergency preparedness plan on all levels. You know, that was one instance and I was able to resolve it. But should there be something else that falls out of my control in the moment, what am I going to do? So I think this is important for us to start to think about this. So let's just start at your homestead, right at home, where you are. Do you have what you would need? Some people have gas cooking. Some folks have electric cooking. All right. For those of you that have gas cooking, you're probably okay. But my girlfriend said, well, I don't know, and I can stand corrected. If you know, just let me know that sometimes, depending on, well, if it's gas, then it should be connected to a gas source. So I'll leave that there. But if you're not on gas, what are you going to do? The electricity goes out. All right. So I used to work at Whole Foods. This was some years ago. And I used to be a part of their demonstration and events team. And we would go out, and I was one of the people that would, hello, would you like a sample? One sample, two sample. Would you like to taste this? And so we used to cook on Bunsen burners, just a little tabletop stove. Well, we called it a stove. You put the can of propane into it, boop, pop the thing up. It's ready to rock and roll. You can sit there and cook for 45 minutes to an hour and you'll be good to go. Do you have something like that at home, ready and available for you should the power grid go down? How would you cook the food, right, that's in your fridge? What would you do? Do you have non-perishables ready to rock at home? Think rice, think soup, think oatmeal, think beef jerky, trail mix, protein bars, all of that stuff. If you needed to have it in a moment's notice, do you have it? Right? Water. We're such a fortunate country where, I mean, well, you know, we had those issues in Flint, Michigan, where we didn't have clean water. But for the majority of us, we've got clean water, right? Well, listen, all sorts of attacks can come in all sorts of ways, and you just never know. Jokers might cut off the water source. Who knows? But what would you do? Or what if it's not clean water? There's a boil advisory and all of these things. What would you do? It is prudent to have 1 gallon of water per person in your household, at least, right? And listen, I'm talking about these things because I want us to think. I don't want us to be hoarding or be afraid, right? But I do want us to be ready. So think about how much water you would need right now for your family to be prepared for 72 hours, without power. Think about flashlight. I think I mentioned that maybe already. A multi-tool like a Swiss Army knife, first aid kit, a hand crank radio, right? Matches. You know, we done got so bougie now, baby. We love the little, what's the little click, 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 click? That lighter that we light our little pretty smelling good candles. Okay, cool. But do you have matches? About your power bank, right? We always look at, you got a charger, I need a charger. You got a brick, I need a brick. Okay, what's your power source? Do you have enough of those per family, right? I think we mentioned batteries, a sleeping bag, right? Cleaning agents, because you never know. I mean, think about when COVID came and we were all frantic about cleaning stuff and I don't have enough this. And so you can think bleach or whatever, but if you don't have bleach, Pine Sol, not shout out to Pine Sol, but that's another a cleaning agent that can get rid of germs. So start to think about alternatives, when stuff is out, when we start to panic buy and all of that stuff, are there some other things you can be thinking about that you could also optimize as well? Your fire extinguisher, gloves, glove, plastic gloves like the surgical gloves, or even a gardening glove or some heavy duty gloves if you got to pick up a log or a tree branch or something in your car, something that's heavy. And ladies, we have such delicate hands. Do you have gloves? A rope, duct tape. Think about a shovel. Like as I'm rolling down this list of items, some of this stuff is like, well, dang, I don't even think, why would I need that? Yeah, you might need it. A generator, some places, especially in apartments, you can't have generators. But there are generators nowadays where they're electric source. Now you'll probably have to go somewhere once it runs down to plug back in. Some of them you can actually charge in your car. So some sort of generator outside of a power bank that can charge your power bank. Think about a gas can. Now look, I know that is old school, especially with, again, EV cars, and people not as many rather use gasoline like we once used to, but a gas can is so necessary. I have a gas can now because sometimes you just forget, and then when you need it, you don't have it, and then you know where to go get it, right? Where you can get it rather. A tarp. When's the last time you thought about a tarp for covering if you need it? If your window gets busted out, you need something to protect. If you need to sit on something, if you need to lie on something, if you need to cover yourself, outdoors or something like that, a tarp. Your medication, your CPAP apparatuses, and again, the power banks and the generators, all of those things that you can plug your CPAP into. Money. Now I know, listen, let's talk. Come in close. We're in a world now where we don't use cash. We use this cash anymore. Baby, you better get you some cash. The mothers and fathers that would put stuff under the money in the mattress, that money will come in handy. $500, $300 to $500 in cash. Yeah, if you get more, but at least have a minimum of $500 in cash, in small bills, in the event that you got to go somewhere and get something. And the credit card, debit card, ATM is all shut down because, again, it's on a power grid. What are you going to do? Because at that point, money will be king like it always has been. So think about that money is obsolete. We don't use, baby, you better go get you some 20s and some 5s and some single dollar bills. You may have to barter with your neighbor. Baby, how much is that toilet tissue? Okay, baby, I got $5. Whatever. You need to have some cash. And listen, I'm not saying that you need to go out and buy all these things right now, but having a few of these things on hand before you need them, it'll really help you, and it will ease your mind. It'll give you some peace of mind and sort of bring down your preparedness stress level a little bit, because you're like, okay, out of the 40 things that she mentioned, I got 10, right? But just start to pile those things together. And so when I was talking to my ex, he mentioned, while he's in that wilderness training, that he has a bug out bag, right? And so a bug out bag, let me tell you what that is a heavy duty emergency pack designed for long-term evacuation in the event of a disaster or crisis. Typically supports 72 hours or more of self-sufficient survival. It is meant to sustain you if you have to leave home really quickly or stay away for an extended amount of time. The things that are in your bug out bag are similar to the things that we talked about in your emergency kit for at home. But in this instance, of course, you need it to be a backpack. So sometimes the words are interchanged. It could be a bug out bag or a go bag. And typically, if you think about a go bag, it's smaller and intended for shorter terms, right? Localized emergencies, maybe some civil unrest or natural disaster. Again, that can support 3 days of travel or shelter if you need it. The bug out bag, on the other hand, they say is meant for longer term self-sufficiency. So you may need like self-defense, a weapon, maybe a little piece of peace. You understand? A little piece of steel. Because here's the deal. should something arise and other people are not prepared, guess what's going to happen? They're going to steal from your preparedness kit. And at that point, it is survival of the fittest. I am not a proponent of violence. I ain't trying to kill nobody. But baby, please don't take my Snicker bar. Okay? Now, and look, okay? Sharing is caring. And I'm going to give you a little piece. But see, I don't need you to come rummaging through my things or trying to accost the things that I prepared because you didn't, right? And so people are not thinking about this. And so you're going to need some ways to protect yourself. And so in that bug out bag or that go bag, similar again to what we discussed for your home kit, but here's what's different. Think about a compass. I haven't thought about a compass in a long time. Think about a compass. What about a map? Was the last time we used a tactical map? No, because we bougie and we got GPS in our cars. We got it on our phone. But say, for instance, this stuff is off. The GPS is off in your phone. Think about it. Chargers, your important documents, your ID, your passports, personal hygiene products, because you don't know how long you might be out. So you might need to bathe, some wipes, baby. Clean out the debris under your arms and in your privacy, okay? A change of clothes, light changes of clothes, t-shirts and such, sun protection. We forget we're so accustomed to being indoors and under the air conditioning and all of the things. But if you have to get out and you have to get out for a while, you need to protect your head. Even Black folks, Latinas, we melanated, but we need to protect ourselves with a hat, some type of fire starter, right? If it gets chilly at night and you're outside, how are you going to stay warm? A whistle. Blow the whistle, baby. Blow the whistle, baby. Blow the whistle. Get a whistle. And you think about a whistle being a kid's item. Oh, that's just for kids. Baby, a whistle is... It can alarm folks that you need some help. Or baby, come get me. Look, remember... Jack, come back. Rose, Jack, baby, God bless you, Jack. But I'm going to take this whistle, baby, because I need them people to come back and get me. So Rose had a whistle. Get you a whistle, huh? Blow your whistle. So get a whistle, go get a pack of 10, baby. Keep them in your car and your purse. It's a good item to have. Toilet paper. Now listen, if you get out here in these woods and you got to handle your business beyond what is normal in terms of having to go urine, and you got to hit up a 2-for-1, what are you gonna do? Because you don't want to pick up a leaf, baby, that happens to be poison ivy, baby. You're gonna be out of luck. Hear me? Toilet paper. Get a roll of some tissue, like the mother say, some tissue, so that you are prepared. That is important. Think about a collapsible container for water, right? I've seen them. They're like the accordion style. Get you one of those, because if you're out in the wilderness, and sometimes you have to get a water source from wherever, a lake, a stream, a river, right? They've got water purification tablets and filtered straws that can be used to make the water portable. Right. So keep that in mind. Also, a metal pot, because if you have to boil the water, right, to clean it, the pot with a portable stove. And I know you're like, Joy, this is a lot. It is a lot, but to survive is a lot. And so do some research on, portable stoves that can be stored with travel so that you can take it with you. Because all of these things will really, really be important for trying to, stay alive. And when you think about, because here's what I want you to keep in mind. With something like a go bag or a bug out bag, you're going to have to carry it. So you want to be mindful of the weight. So that's what I'm saying. Go do some research in terms of what would be sufficient for your body, for your capability, because you don't want it to be too heavy and you have to go the distance. Typically between 20 pounds, try to stay within that range. I've heard that you could go up to 50 pounds, but that could be for, longer than, a 72-hour period. But I think 20 pounds is a good starting point for all of the things that you may need. I always talk about this as a lady. I remember when I first moved to Atlanta, and I was chatting with a good guy friend of mine. And, coming from my town, mid-sized city, but it certainly wasn't Atlanta. And I remember one of the things he said to me, he said, listen, I don't mind, like, if you get into a situation and I'll come help you if you need some help. He said, but let me tell you when I won't come and get you. He said, if you ever run out of gas, don't call me. He said, because most cars nowadays have an indication when you're running out of gas. He was like, so it is prudent of you to be mindful of what your gas tank looks like. And at first I was offended. I was like, excuse me, baby. At that moment, I'm not going to be able to think about what I coulda, shoulda, woulda, baby. I need you to come and get me now. But he's right. When you know. Now, see, some of us be trying to push them fumes like, I'm going to make it to tomorrow. I'm going to go get the gas tomorrow. No. You know when that gas is going out. And so try not to allow your gas tank to go below half. I know. Chill out. Calm down. Everybody stay calm. What you mean, girl? I'll be riding from here to California on a quarter of a tank and I make it. Okay. Go ahead. Press your luck. Don't call me, sis. I'm saying all of that to say, with the price of gas nowadays, prior to it being this expensive, but if you kind of keep your car right at around a half a tank and then you fill up, it won't be as expensive to fill back up. I was talking to my girlfriend the other day, and she said at a half a tank, it took her $35 to fill back up at a half a tank. So a full tank is $70 to $80. So with it being as expensive as it is, you can help mitigate that by not going so far down to E, staying right around the mid, and then refueling. And then also, it's smart to do that if you need to get out of town quickly, right? Or if because at that point, you won't get caught up. I got to go get some gas. Everybody calling like, hey, we finna go, meet us at I ain't got no gas. Oh, well, look. Call us when you on your way. But what you don't want to do is be in the line with everybody else and you stuck and, you can't get out of town. Like, all of those things will affect your ability to move quickly and on a dime. So just start to think about that in how you move with just your daily life and things that, that we often take for granted. So keep that in mind. Now, I know a lot of folks have, of course, electric vehicles, and I don't really know how that works. Like, if the grid goes down, and people in the comments let me know, but if the grid goes down and you need to charge up your vehicle, what happens? And that was one of the things that I thought about, when I when I was buying a new car. I thought about, the EV, all electric, or, a hybrid, and, that's all the rave, and it was trending and it was the thing. But then I thought, well, if I'm running out of gas, like my example of my buddy saying he wouldn't come get me, I need to just go to the gas tank, right? I just need to go and get some gas. Or the gas station rather. I don't want to have to go and sit, baby, for 30, 40 minutes, 62 minutes to get a quarter of a tank of power. I don't want to do that. So maybe there's something that I'm unfamiliar with as it relates to that. I mean, of course, I know the hybrid is between, of course, the gasoline and the electricity. But I don't know how that works. So I'm happy to be educated on that. But what would you do? Would you be prepared? Have you thought about that? How far can you get, out of town if you needed to? If, our EV stations, I'm sure they're becoming far more available to folks because a lot of people have them. But maybe put that in your plan. Put that in your I gotta go plan. And so those are some of the things that I've been thinking about lately. Because, look, our lives right now are centered around Wi-Fi, and even with our phones, we have a data plan. But sometimes, I don't know if it's you, but sometimes my phone, not sometimes, the majority of the times, my phone works better on Wi-Fi than it does on my my plan, my data. And I know that to me is by design. They say it's easier on Wi-Fi, doesn't strain, the towers and such, but I feel like that's by design. And I feel like it is a means of controlling our capability. It's a means of controlling what we do. I think it's a form of surveillance because they can, the pinging. I don't know, pings have gone back a while, but Wi-Fi has made pinging and location discovery a lot easier. I know sometimes on my phone, which I'm sure it's listening, I'll see the location pin just sporadically pop up because I know it's connecting to the tower. But to me, that is surveillance, right? And so think about if the Wi-Fi gets shut off. How would you connect with the outside world? What would you do? Where would you go? Can you get there without your GPS? Do you remember how to get to certain places without your GPS? Can you get around your city without your GPS? Think about that, because I know I'm quick to use my GPS. Now, I've been in Atlanta for almost 25 years. I can pretty much get just about anywhere. However, if I needed to take a back road, would I be able to do it? What road connects with what road to get me someplace else? Because if an emergency happens, the highway is going to be crowded. Can you take off-road streets to get where you need to go? Right? And also, when was the last time you remembered somebody's phone number? And I'm going to just let that sit for a second. When was the last time you were like, oh, I need to call Aunt Betty, just by memory, boop, 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 without going into your contacts, scrolling to find Aunt Betty's number, and then pressing send? About maybe 10 years ago now, a girlfriend, it was two of my other girlfriends, one of them was in trouble. And me and the other one, we were together, and we couldn't find her. We didn't know where she was. And we knew that she was in some sort of trouble. We both looked at each other and we said, I don't know her number by heart. And we felt so incredibly helpless because we allowed our modern conveniences to strip us of our ability of readiness. It's almost a way of dumbing us down a bit, because I don't need to remember nobody's phone number. I could just press my contacts. When was the last time you remembered important phone numbers by heart? If you haven't, I challenge you. I have about 3 to 4 numbers that I know for people that I need to get in touch with. I have those numbers memorized. Because if your phone dies and you need to use somebody else's phone to let them know that you're okay, because in that instance, our girlfriend that was in trouble, she couldn't contact us either because her phone was dead and she didn't have our number memorized. She didn't have our number memorized. So I challenge you, get about 3 to 4, 5 tops numbers of the people that are in your family that you can just riddle off and call if you needed to borrow somebody's phone. Hell, we won't even have house phones. How many people got, shout out to everybody that still got a house phone. I wanted to keep mine for a really long time, but when I found out that house phones are no longer analog and they're all on Wi-Fi, I was like, well, what difference does it make? Because if they shut down the Wi-Fi, it doesn't make any difference. To me, again, that's another form of control, because they can shut that Wi-Fi off, and then who are you going to communicate with? Also, think about, do you have a family plan? All right. Have you and your family talked about what you would do in the event of an emergency? Not just your immediate family, but your extended family as well, right? Have you designated a centralized meetup location that everybody can get to, and that we know once we're all here that we're all safe. A lot of us live in different cities, and that might not be feasible necessarily. But if you're in close proximity, neighboring states, do you have a plan? Are we going back to grandma's house or Uncle Charlie's house? Or where are we going? Are we going to a particular park that we grew up at? So we know we can all meet up there by X time to give account for everybody's family members and that we're all okay. Have you thought about that? If you haven't, you should. While I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself. And because I was talking to myself about all of these things, I figured it is important for us to do a show and have this conversation. Do you have a code word? Should somebody be in trouble and they need to make you aware that something isn't right, that they can mention it seamlessly in the conversation and you'll know immediately something, I need to get to them, or I need to dial 911 or something, they are in trouble? Do you have that? That I do have with my brother. We have that word, but something to think about. Also, if you run out of gas, if there is no more gas to get and you still have a distance to go, are you physically capable of walking a mile or two unencumbered by any physical ailments? Now, God bless the people that have physical ailments that they cannot control. But for those of us who are able-bodied, are you though? Can you walk a mile? Can you walk two? When was the last time you tried it to see? Hell, even if you can't, how far can you go? If you needed to jog a little bit, like my good girlfriend says, she says she trains to be able to run at least 1 mile without stopping. That is brilliant. To run, because her logic is, I just need to be able to get away from whomever is chasing the rest of us. So if I can be faster than everybody else, at least they can't get me. So she's saying, y'all better keep up. And that is, I get it. That is survival of the fittest. That is putting your own mask on first. So can you, with your physical capability, can you get up off the ground without needing the assistance of someone? Knees, your back, shoulders. Can you push something off of you? Can you lift something up if you needed to get something? Like, can we do a physical assessment of what our capabilities are to be unencumbered should an emergency arise? I'm talking to myself while I'm talking to you. But with all of the things that are going on in our society, it is time for us to begin to have these conversations, all right? You need to be able to stay mobile, stay safe, get home, and or get out quickly. So I want you have an assignment. You have an assignment. I need you to come back, put it in the chat, because I need to know who's paid attention. I need you to share these items, these thoughts, these plan ideas with your friends and with your family. Have a group chat. Get on a 3-way, 4-way, and get on a Zoom. Start to have these conversations. They're going to be very necessary sooner than later. So I think it's time for us to get in motion. All right. Now, maybe you don't knock everything off, but get a few things done. So that is your assignment. The weekend is coming up. And so with that, what do you have planned? Listen, this is what I think would be a good idea. Have you seen the movie Leave the World Behind? Well, if you haven't, add that to your watch list. It has Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke, Kevin Bacon, Mahershala Ali, the guy from Green Book. Hope I said his name right. All of those folks are in that film. It was done back in 2023. 2023, that's right. That movie will get you in the mindset because there's so many things that happen in that film if you haven't seen it that you haven't thought about, right? You're like, wait a minute, I'm not even ready. What would I do? It'll start to make you think and process. It's called Leave the World Behind. It'll give you really great perspective on what the world will look like should we experience a global situation and how we're thinking about it, not if, but when. All right? Here's what I need you to do. I hope this was good for you. If it was, like, subscribe, thumbs up, and follow me on all social media. The best compliment that you can give me is a share, right? Let somebody be like, you know what, girl, this is some good information. You ought to check that girl out on Hear My Take, that Joy girl. She was all right. I want to ride this thing till the wheels fall off with you. Thank you for hanging out. I hope you got some good information that you can take with you. I want you to remain in heavy pursuit of the things that bring you joy, all right? Remember, use me as a testament. I'm out here trying to help us while I help myself, too. I will see you next Thursday, all right? Come back, y'all, for Hear My Take. God bless you. See ya.